everybody. I'm your host, the Doc Bob Lee from WBLS, and you're watching Open. It's the live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, here we go. On August the 22nd, the New York City Hemophilia chapter will hold their Patient Voices Advocacy series in the Bronx. And joining us with all the details, we have the executive director in the house, good friend of a good friend that I know, but now he's a good friend of mine too, Jeremy Griffin. Give him a big round of applause, everybody. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob. Good morning.
Good morning.
To see
Good morning.
You. Thanks for having me here.
So I've worked with a couple of people that you work with now.
That's right. That's right. And Antonio Coppola is a good friend of yours. You've worked with him before.
Let's give him a big shout out. Hey, we're waving a hand, Antonio. Look.
Good to see you.
And the whole crew too. So you're working with another organization now. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so it's the New York City Hemophilia chapter, and the reason I'm here today, we're doing a patient voice advocacy series on Thursday, and it's really about, like right now in healthcare, it's crazy, you know? Expenses are going up, and patients don't know what they're gonna do. So we are trying to collect people with rare or chronic conditions together, and come together on Thursday here in the Bronx. Anybody in the Bronx that has a rare or chronic condition, come out, and we're going to talk about what issues they're having. We run the New York City Hemophilia chapter, so we're focused primarily on people with blood disorders, but we've partnered with sickle cell, MS, and that day specifically, we're honoring LaToya Joyner for all her amazing work for patients. That's
Tell us a little bit about hemophilia.
Sure. Hemophilia is a blood disorder that's caused by a missing protein in your blood. And it varies, but it affects about 20,000 people nationwide. And what happens is your blood doesn't make this protein, so your blood doesn't clot. So it doesn't mean that if you're going to cut yourself, you're going to bleed to death. But what happens is you get joint bleeds or other internal bleeds that are very dangerous.
And sometimes you don't know about it, but it's going on.
Right. Yeah. You're born with it. It's a chronic illness. You'll have it all your life.
I mean, sometimes you don't know about the bleed that's going on and the joint bleed or something
right.
like that.
It could, you know, typically there'll be pain associated with it, but it is very dangerous for folks. Luckily, through the years, there was a point 30 years ago, if you had hemophilia, you probably wouldn't live to like 20.
Yeah.
And so now medicines have advanced significantly. And what we do as an advocacy organization is make sure that people have access to care, that innovation's happening. We're pushing for research, and crazy things are happening. Like there's gene therapies coming about, but that's the kind of work we do to help people with bleeding disorders.
The first time I heard about hemophilia is when I was studying history, and we came across this young man by the name of Rasputin.
Yeah, you're right. There's a deep history. They call it the royal disease.
Yeah.
And so the history goes way back there, where you know, Rasputin, the Russian oligarchs, they had hemophilia, and it was passed through. Because it's a genetic condition, if folks are marrying or whatever, it would stay with the family.
Yeah.
And so, but back then they had no medicines.
Yeah.
Now you do.
But they looked to this young man, they said, well, he has the cure, and he cured the king's son or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I don't think in the day there was as much known about it. People knew that, like, what was going on, like, hey, look, they're bleeding, but the science of the fact that it was just one protein missing, it's all caused by one gene. So as far as, like, whenever you look at how medicine is going to evolve, a lot of rare conditions like hemophilia are going to be the first ones that are going to end up having gene therapy.
Gene therapy, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah?
Do they have anything dealing in gene therapy that can maybe create a clot or can be a substitute for the missing gene?
So as it stands right now, the way people treat is they take that protein that's missing and they put it back in their body. But what we're getting to science-wise, there's folks that are now developing gene therapies that would replace it and teach your body to create that protein. And you would have one treatment and it's done.
It's done.
So the way they treat now is they have to treat, like folks with hemophilia would have to treat every day, couple of days, and it's an intravenous stick that you have to put in your vein and infuse this medicine to live a normal life.
Yeah.
But with gene therapy, they could maybe at some point, it's in trials right now, but at some point they could actually have one treatment and it would let them create their own proteins at that point.
But today you can live way past the days that we couldn't live back then with hemophilia.
Yeah, I mean, so now whenever we're looking as advocacy groups and nonprofits about like what are we going to do, we're actually developing programs for people with bleeding disorders and hemophilia that are aging. It never happened before. You didn't age. Back in the 80s, 90% of people with severe hemophilia contracted HIV and AIDS.
Yeah.
And that happened because their medicine that they use is a blood product, and that blood product, some of it was contaminated. So a lot of our community was just decimated during that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, through
They
that,
filter out the blood. And they clean it
blood
up.
is safer. Our community like suffered a lot, but in the end, we were able to create safeties that are going to affect people for all time. How to treat medicines better, how to collect blood better, that sort of thing.
So tell us about the Patient Voices Advocacy series that's going to take place.
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Here we
Thursday
go.
night, 6:30. Residents in at Metro Center. You can go to bit.ly/patient voice Bronx. If you're rare or you have a chronic condition, come on out. We're going to be honoring LaToya Joyner there. And she's done some amazing work for us. This last couple of years ago, she dedicated March as Bleeding Disorders Awareness Month. And she's just a fighter for folks with chronic illnesses. I know she's worked closely with us in the sickle cell community. How do we do the right thing for patients that need access to care?
Oh, yeah. All right, so we need to get involved in that, too.
Ooh, I like that.
I wonder if we can get a couple of cameras down there and get
Ooh,
some
come on
coverage
down
from the
Thursday
radio
night.
station and TV station.
We'd love it.
It's Thursday night. Let me see. All right, there's a number of things on the program already on the list, but let's talk afterwards.
Okay.
And see what we can do.
I'd love that, Bob.
Yeah, yeah.
great.
So what's going to take place there? You have
Well,
it's
you
gonna
know,
be
when you
indoor-
get people
indoor thing,
together,
right?
you get to people together around 6:30. There's something, you know, have a little cocktail, have a little fun, and have a couple of little hors d'oeuvres, that sort of thing. But patients are going to tell their stories. They're going to talk about what it's like, what issues they're dealing with access. Nowadays you have to get a lot of prior authorizations every time you need a medicine.
Yeah.
And so we have a piece of legislation we've been trying to pass in Albany that limits that. You have a chronic condition, you know you're going to always need that medicine, but a lot of people every 6 months or 3 months, they have to get prior
no.
authorization.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's
that's tough.
delays, they
That's
can't get that. So talk about those sorts of issues, and then we're going to be honoring LaToya Joyner, getting her to talk and telling about the amazing things she's doing for folks in the Bronx.
That's great. Okay. So it's going to be from what time to what time?
6:30 to 8:30,
6:30
unless
to
you want to
8:30.
stay later.
You can stay later as an after
Yeah,
party.
it's
Huh?
fine, as long as, the reason we're getting people together is oftentimes these chronic illnesses, they only focus on their issues. And we want to expand that a bit and talk, with different rare disease and different chronic conditions, because a lot of times we have the same issues that we're dealing with for access.
Yeah, and you want people to realize.
Yeah,
What?
simply what we want people to realize is that if you're having trouble getting medicine, if you're having trouble paying for your insurance, there are legislators here in New York that can help. It's a crazy time for folks, and we are fighting for patients to make sure they have their voice.
Give patients a voice.
I love it.
That's what's going on. And give our guy a big round of applause when you get to give him a hug for me.
For Antonio, I will, most certainly.
Thank you so much. Give him a big round of applause, everybody. Jeremy Griffin, Executive Director, New York City Hemophilia Chapter. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot,
Pleasure meeting
Bob.
you, too.
Nice to meet you,
Yes.
too.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more next.